This is another 5-player fixed card game in which I'm red, the 5th player in the game. I set the expert rank as a minimum rank when hosting the game, meaning that there are no novices, beginners and intermediates. So could be anyone from experts to grandmasters, but the probability-wise it's the most reasonable to expect what the most of my opponents in this game are experts, but how it actually is we are going to see at the end of the video. At the first sight of the map I saw that I have troops in South America, but the pink player had some here as well, so I thought if he doesn't go for it, then I will do. But he did. And then I looked at the right side of the map and saw that I have a ton of troops in Australia. So I thought that's it. Let's forget about anything else and it will be mine. No any other continent is suitable for me to go for. So I will be the king of Australia. The ruler of a small continent which in the risk world can do big and significant things. So even though it only gives 2 troops, I really like it, as it's in more isolated place which doesn't really get into the other players' way, letting them to leave you alone, while letting them to fight it out in the neighboring continents and become greedy. While I, in Australia, will just go with the inner peace. As you see, the purple player moved out his troops from North Africa, so to let the pink player bring his troops from Europe to South America. And that move lets me realize that the purple player is a more of experienced player. Though I don't really like that move, as now the pink player will now immediately get South America and survive, while otherwise it would have taken some more turns with the pink player being weaker and having the increased chances to get eliminated. But for the purple player himself it's probably a really good move, as it should have really made the pink player to appreciate that move, so now there will be a good diplomacy, I would assume. So that's not really good that 2 players might already be very good friends. On the other hand, they're just small continent players, meaning that if they let other players get bigger continents then they will be weaker, or if they prevent others from capturing and holding them, then they will waste troops or at the very least won't be as good the diplomacy-wise with other players, which is more favorable to me as the neutral Australian player. That's actually really bold that the pink player requested me to attack purple, as I assume if you don't guard against that player, then you are in a really good terms and diplomacy with him, and this is exactly what the pink player does, putting his army next to North America. So it might be an issue for yellow. So it looks like a manipulation? Question mark, question mark? Or if not, then I don't really get what the pink player wants, as I'm really certain he is not going to attack the purple player himself. I was going to attack that 2 troops territory of purple next to me, so this is why I sent thumbs up for the pink player, but it was taken down by black, so I cannot really attack the purple player anymore. Unless I would have wanted to manual roll one of his armies with the gotten troops. But like mentioned, I don't really think the pink player is serious, but even if he is, currently the black player is a player which I should worry about, as he is doing those really weird shenanigans next to me in Asia, so I don't really get what he wants, but I think if he got a better opportunity to take Australia from me, then he would go for it. So I've gotta stay strong and don't really waste my precious troops on some random attacking stuff suggested by a random player who doesn't even guard against that person. I'm actually kinda considering taking the black player out if he doesn't trade in a set at 4 cards, but even with him being at 5 cards I'm not really sure if it is really worth it. I mean, if it was a 4-player situation which would let me get into a 3-player situation, then I would definitely do it. But with it being a 5-player one, then with me becoming the weakest, some other player could just take me out in the 4th position and end up in a 3-player situation himself, so I don't really want to risk that, as then like with the pink player pressuring yellow, the purple player might just finally take over Europe, and then would definitely afford to take me out. So I'm leaving the black player alive, but if he gets weakened or wastes some more troops by himself, then I will probably take him out. Anyway, getting back to the pink player's suggestion to attack purple. The pink player traded in a set and it looks like he was going to add his troops in Europe, so then I sent him the attack request to attack purple, so to really see if he is serious about that, but then he just immediately added all of those troops on the army next to the yellow player's border. so that lets me completely understand that the pink player is not serious about attacking purple. Well, maybe he wants me or others to attack purple, but he won't attack him himself. Or another theory is that maybe he misclicked the chat heads and wanted to say or attack someone else. Or the third theory is that maybe if I had attacked purple, then maybe he would have attacked yellow. But he didn't say anything about yellow, which makes me believe this theory is unlikely. As then I would guess he would have sent the attack request to attack both of these players or something like that. But even if someone right now showed a serious initiative to team up on someone, I'm not really sure if I went with it. As I wouldn't like to become quite weak, so then the black player could take me out, taking over Australia. So I think the only person I would be willing to team up on would be black. He is the weakest without a good position, while all other players are much stronger and have established continent positions. So I would be only willing to attack black as of now, and after he is gone, then I could team up on another player. But if I only attacked black myself, like manual rolling him or crushing some troops into him, then it wouldn't make any sense to really do it alone. So if it's no really sense or purpose, then I won't even start it. As I would just completely ruin the diplomacy with him, which would really hurt me, or maybe even the black player would decide to suicide on me. So I don't really see a point in that, so unless I will take him out fully. Or like mentioned, if someone wanted to team up on him with me. The purple player just put his troops into a big army, so I'm really wondering if he has some serious intent behind it. It would be really great that if with his army getting unleashed towards black he would take black out, or with someone wiping pink's troops out from Europe, he would suddenly take out pink. Which would be kinda weird decision, while all this time it looked like the pink and purple players are in a very good alliance. Though even if the pink player doesn't guard against purple, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're in a strong alliance. Maybe the pink player just wouldn't like to bother purple and that's it. Though that's weird then that he puts a pressure on yellow while not intending to attack him. In that case he would rather go with the South American turtle strategy of putting his army on Peru and not guarding any of his borders. So after all, I think the pink player would like to attack yellow, so he is just waiting for a better opportunity, probably until someone else attacks yellow or something like that. But I don't really think it's a good plan for him to build that army on the yellow player's border, as that doesn't really help the yellow player to feel more free. The yellow player feels pressured on building a bigger counter-attack army one territory behind the border with the pink player, while if the pink player had just put his troops on Peru, then the yellow player not being threatened could have tried expanding to Europe to potentially get into a conflict with purple, as it looked like the purple was expanding to it before the black player moving into it, or might have just built his army in Asia to eventually take out black or me. But now if the yellow player wanted to take someone out, then it would definitely be pink, so assuming nobody else decides to start messing up with yellow, and this is what I'm really happy about, I'm happy that the strongest player is not building a big army next to me, and if he finally decided to take someone out, then it would be pink. So the pink player is really putting a nail to his coffin by himself. Plus the purple player is putting his biggest army next to pink as well, and differently than yellow, directly on his border. So even though the black player is the weakest, I would say that the pink player is still in a less promising position. Probably in the least promising position would have been yellow if the pink player invaded him into North America, leaving his army or the majority of troops in it while the yellow player was weaker. But with the pink player not doing anything, the yellow player just gets stronger and stronger. Though on the other hand, the yellow player might just be fine with turtling and doesn't really intend on doing something more serious. I mean, taking out any other player than black would lead him of getting eliminated next, though it might be even the case with the black player. But if at this point he would take out black, then I think at the very least the pink player would invade him into North America. So if I was yellow, then I wouldn't consider taking out black at this point of the game either. All this time I was kinda really tempted to wipe out the pink player from Europe-Asia area, making him trapped in South America. But that would ruin diplomacy and be quite bad if he actually ends up in a 3-player endgame. And it looks like all other players don't want to do that sneaky move either. It seems all of them understand about a good diplomacy. But the pink player isn't adding any troops outside South America anymore, so I assume he should eventually be wiped from the outside area out. I think with the pink player failing that blitz roll and ending up with one troop territory, it might actually be that moment, especially if the yellow player doesn't make a territory to attack, as I don't have a free one troop territory to attack, so attacking that one troop territory of the pink player would be natural. And then I'm really wondering what the pink player would do, if he invaded the yellow player into North America, or if he just simply turtled without gaining any cards anymore. As you can see, my strategy all of this time is just to go with the flow, do what requires the least of energy and just let a win to manifest itself. Doing something major like attacking someone would be against the flow, requiring a lot of energy, and that would almost certainly go wrong, especially when nobody was showing me a serious intention to team up on someone. Usually the first player to break the inner peace and do something major gets backfired and is likely to get eliminated first. So the pink player is playing with fire now by deciding to mess up with yellow, who is quite stronger. So unless the yellow player would just decide to be passive, being fine without North America, and just decide to turtle, putting his troops into one big army like the black player without a continent does. But yeah, as you can see, the yellow player is pushing the pink player from North America back. But at least he didn't combine those armies into one to potentially take the pink player out. Either way, I'm really wondering what the pink player does. And it looks like that the purple player will probably take the black player out. Well, that's kinda a bummer. The purple player moved his army away from the pink player's border, as now the pink player might get away from the conflict with yellow. But if the purple player still eliminates black, then I will be very happy. And I'm wondering if pink with yellow made an alliance, or the pink player is just backing out so to not potentially get succeeded on by yellow. I don't really like that the black player got back to Asia, as it really looked at first that he will go to North America, so then he would have been a problem for yellow. On the other hand, the black player doesn't do anything to me, he is just a neutral turtling player. But I would have still appreciated it if he had been a problem to either purple or black by leaving his army to either Europe or North America. And come on, take the black player out, purple. But alright, it looks like the purple player just wanted to relocate himself from Africa to Europe to increase his continental troop bonus, which I think the short term is a very good idea, but the long term probably not so much, as the location-wise Europe is not that much ideal, and with that blizzard on the Middle East it will be in the middle of action, so it will be really easy to invade him. So unless he got Africa too and then could guard both of the continents with only 3 borders to guard. But currently the biggest threat is that if the pink player fully captures Africa, then he won't have a free territory to attack anymore, so the question is whether he then would invade purple into Europe or not. As from what we have seen, the pink player could really go to invade other player into their continent when he doesn't have a free territory to attack anymore. I don't really understand what the pink player's plan was in overall, as it really looks like he messed his situation up. For me, it didn't really make sense that he immediately backed out after invading yellow, and even left his continent for the same yellow player. And while the yellow player didn't really have a particular plan to take someone out before, now he is building a big army next to pink, and that could be likely that he will eventually take him out. So I think the black player is in a better position now, even though he doesn't have any continent at all. I think the pink player should have stuck to his plan and left his army in North America to not let the yellow player recapture it, though he might have risked to getting succeeded on, so even better he shouldn't have invaded yellow at the first place, as the yellow player already was quite much stronger, so I think it would have been much better of the idea if he invaded yellow in some of the early rounds if he intended to invade yellow. Though maybe the pink player's passive backing out strategy might still work out. All he needs to hope that with him becoming neutral and hiding in a corner, other players will eventually go into a conflict, kinda forgetting about him. But besides him there are even more turtle players, so that's not much ideal for him to be weaker than me or purple. As even if he doesn't get eliminated first, then if he stays as the weakest player in the 4-player situation, then one of us could eliminate him to get to the 3-player endgame. Now I think it's really about a point of the game when the yellow player will eliminate someone eventually. He is the strongest player who is much stronger than anybody else, so nobody is going to do the dirty work for him. With one of us eliminating someone, that person who eliminated someone would be eliminated next. Though the teaming up strategy is always an option, though I don't think any of these players know about the strategy and how to properly do it. Or even if they know, then I doubt any of them would like to attack yellow, at least being one of the players to do that first, as then that could be likely that the yellow player will just take that person out who attacks him first. But also this game could go nowhere with neither yellow nor any of us doing something. So then the players will start disconnecting and becoming bots, which would still be the most beneficial for yellow, as with him being the strongest player, he would have fewer real human opponents to worry about and could just think how it increase his advantage even more. The bots might even help. Or he could just even win with both of the Americas if enough players disconnect. So it might be even better for the yellow player to stay passive, but I think that way the win wouldn't be that much of fun at all. So if the yellow player wants more fun of a game, then eventually he will have to take someone out. The pink player wants me to attack yellow, but honestly that's just manipulation. He wants that the yellow player's attention would be brought out from him to me, while he would probably still stay passive in Africa, so that's something that would benefit him but harm me. So I decided to rather send the attack request to yellow to attack pink, as if the pink player wanted, then he could have easily invaded yellow from Europe, or even better he could have not given away South America for yellow at the first place while preventing him from recapturing North America. And now it's the time to say a goodbye for the black player as well. That is so unfortunate to him that the yellow player decided to finally take the pink player out right after black unleashed my army. So there just couldn't have been a better opportunity for me to end up in the 3-player endgame without breaking the balance of the game, and especially with those black's 4 cards. It looks like the yellow player has the advantage the continent-wise, but the purple player has a good lead the troop-wise and overall. So he could definitely fight and invade yellow. I thought that maybe I should stay neutral, that maybe the purple player will fortify his army next to one of the yellow player's borders. But what he did is just took Africa from yellow to balance himself out with yellow the continental troop-wise, and then just left his army in the middle of Europe to continue turtling. So then I rather thought I will help the yellow player to attack purple, especially when we're both quite weaker, and that would make the sense for us to team up on him. But main goal is that with the purple player not holding anything anymore, he would be kinda forced to attack yellow. So I even specially unleashed purple's army next to the South American yellow's border, so that the purple player could attack and might even take it from him, which would probably lead of the yellow player even more retaliating. So as you can see, not exactly how it worked, as the purple player didn't crush any of the yellow player's armies, but at least he finally invaded yellow into North America, and also cannot just hurtle inside of his continent barely doing anything while still receiving the continental troop bonuses. So that invasion into Europe was to encourage the purple player's activity. As with him being the strongest player, he should really be the player who should take some action in order for the game to progress. Though I and yellow could team up on him too, even if he didn't do anything. But it should be made in the mutually beneficial way in order to not give away a win for the ally, and with that to have more or less of a proper 2-player endgame, or outsmart your ally in some way in the 3-player one. I'm not sure why the yellow player just unleashed my army, which really looked on purpose. But that's maybe because to discourage the purple player from crushing too many of the yellow player's troops, as then the game could be really given away to me. As with my army being unleashed, the purple player couldn't hold some of the properly guarded continents, which would compensate him some of the troops. But as you can see, the purple player still makes a losing move, and honestly I don't understand anymore if some of the expert rank players are still so bad at the balance of the game to not realize that they're giving the game away for the 3rd player with all of those drastic attacks. or if they understand what they're doing and just suiciding wanting to get the second place, but they're not smart enough to only do it in the situation when they would be guaranteed getting it, over still leaving some troops and territories of the other player while it's obvious they would run out of time. Either way, since the purple player messed up the game, he gets his well-deserved third place, while the second place goes to the yellow player who at the end was just a victim of the circumstances. Now for another fixed card recommendation. I would recommend you watching this video in which I show what to do when your main plan goes wrong but with you still having enough troops to influence the game.